Good morning, everybody. Everybody here on Zoom and everybody on Facebook. My name is Reverend Lynn LaBorde, and we are on a 365-day journey in 2021 with Mary Magdalene as we go through the lessons of A Course in Miracles. This is the purple version, known as the Circle of Atonement version, that was published, I believe, back in 2018, that added back some 48,000 words that were originally edited out of the material that was brought through between 1965 and 1971. So it's the version that I read, and the lessons are pretty much the same as the blue Foundation of Inner Peace version. And those are the lessons that I will be reading from. So today we are on lesson number 10. And lesson number 10 says, "My thoughts do not mean anything." This idea applies to all the thoughts. This idea applies to all the thoughts of which you are aware, or of which you become aware of in the practice periods. The reason the idea is applicable to all of them is that they are not your real thoughts. We have made this distinction before and will again. You have no basis for comparison as yet. When you do, you will have no doubt that what you once believed were your thoughts did not mean anything. This is the second time we have used this kind of idea. The form is only slightly different. This time the idea is introduced with my thoughts instead of these thoughts. And no link is made overtly with the things around you. The emphasis is now on the lack of reality of what you think you think. This aspect of the correction process began with the idea that the thoughts of which you are aware are meaningless, outside rather than within, and then stress that their past rather than stress their past rather than their present status. Now we are emphasizing that the presence of these thoughts means that you are not thinking. This is merely another way of repeating our earlier statement that your mind is really blank. To recognize this is to recognize nothingness when you think you see it. As such, it is the prerequisite for vision. Close your eyes for these exercises and introduce them by repeating the idea for today quite slowly to yourself. Then add, "This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe." The exercises consist, as before, in searching your mind for all thoughts which are available to you without selection or judgment. Try to avoid classification of any kind. In fact, if you find it helpful to you to do so, you might even imagine that you're watching an oddly assorted processional going by, which has little, if any, personal meaning to you. As one crosses your mind, say, "This thought about blank does not mean anything. That thought about blank does not mean anything." Today's idea can obviously serve for any thought that distresses you at any time. In addition, 5 practice periods are recommended, each involving no more than a minute or so of mind searching. It is not recommended that this time period be extended, and it should be reduced to half a minute or even less if you experience discomfort. Remember, however, to repeat the idea slowly before applying it specifically, and also to add, "This idea will help release me from all that I now believe." I love this lesson. All right, let's bring through Magdalene and see what she has to say. Greetings, beloveds. When you bring your consciousness to true understanding and the true mental training that your thoughts do not mean anything, you will have gained for yourself a sense of presence, a sense of freedom, a sense of love, a sense of joy and happiness, because you will come to understand that truly what is the truth of you, what is real of you, is that you think with the mind of God. In your current status, what you are doing is you are thinking with the mind of ego, one that creates havoc and chaos, one that assigns meaning to specific thoughts, to specific objects, and to specific people. And when you bring yourself to bear to truly understand that it is in these moments of unconscious creation that you have been forming the world that is disturbing to you, you will come to realize that there is a moment, there is indeed a choice point where you are able to say, if the thoughts that I'm thinking do not mean anything, what is possible? If the world that I am painting with my thoughts is being designed by me, how may I think the world differently? How may I extend my heart and see a beloved in front of me rather than one that I feel that I must criticize or judge, one that I feel that is not worthy of my love? And then you will begin to see that it is truly these thoughts that you have of yourself, believing that you are worthy of judgment, believing that you are worthy of criticism, believing that you are worthy of anything other than pure love, anything other than the countenance of divinity that is your birthright as an active creation of Source. This entire training, these 365 days that we spend with each other, making our way through the lessons, this is training that I too received to understand, to come to know myself differently than how I was raised, how many of us are raised. We have indeed brainwashed ourselves into believing that every thought that we think is the truth of us. And we ask you now, beloveds, to go within and to consider that there is more. And at the same time, to consider that there is nothing. And in that blank canvas, in that moment of experiencing tabula rasa, you will come to see that you are actually able to design a consciousness for yourself that is indeed aligned with God. And in that consciousness, all of the chasm and insanity of darkness and shadow that you have created to be your reality shall dissipate in the light of love that is the truth of you, that is the truth of each being that you see. If you could find one object, beloved, and consider that you have never truly seen it for what it is, and you could find its beauty, and you could grant it grace, you could allow yourself to fall in love with whatever it is that you choose. You would have an experience of being able to fall in love with the aspect of what you consider yourself to be. It is a suspension of belief. It is a new way of thinking, a new way of perceiving the consciousness of God. It is allowing yourself to say, this may not be what I think it is. This may not be what I have projected onto this object. Maybe I could see this differently. And as you do, you will come to see that your thoughts do not mean anything, for you have created what is an error in thinking. And the same mind that created that error can unhook and release itself from the erroneous thought and bring to consciousness a thought of God, a thought of presence, and a thought of love. It takes your eyes away from the shadow and the darkness and truly brings it to the light of love that is the truth of you. Were you able to start seeing love in everyone and everything Every thought that you have, look for the love. These thoughts are much like clouds. See if you can pause long enough to see the space, the light, the blue sky between the clouds. For when you pause, when you have those moments, you will indeed find yourself. You will find your truth. You will find your self love. Many of you pray to us, asking for happiness and asking for love, when that is already the truth of you, beloveds. We ask you indeed to go within, to allow yourself to dismantle what has been created as consciousness, to believe that one object has more meaning or significance than another, and come to see the truth of love in all things, as all things. And here you shall truly find your freedom. You shall truly find your way back to truth. The truth is, you are love, born of love, made of love, and created of love. When you look within your heart and you see the truth of you, it will only allow you to then see the truth of others. So find an object and allow yourself to see that your thoughts about it do not mean anything. It is indeed a step towards your freedom, a step so profound and so magnificent that you will never be able to see it in quite the same way. God loves all beings. He loves all that he has created. Allow yourself to think with the mind of God, and you will see beauty in all beings and in all things and in all circumstances. Allow yourself to hush the thoughts that your egoic mind has granted to all things, to believe that things should be different than they are. When you can bring this sense of neutrality to accept what is in front of you, you will have mastered the true art of presence, the true art of love. And there is grace that bestows upon you, the grace of the divine, to know that all is as it should be, all is as you've chosen it to be. And it is only your mind that tells you that it should be different. Allow yourselves to feel the love in your heart. And then allow that presence to connect with the true mind of God. And there you shall find your freedom, beloveds. Our lesson for today is another step in the journey home. Your thoughts do not mean anything. My thoughts do not mean anything. And you have indeed found your way back to the kingdom, beloveds. All blessings upon you, dear ones. And we will speak with you again. I thank you all for being with me. I love you very much. And I will see you all again tomorrow.